It was a humid afternoon when Marcus Johnson stepped into the upscale grocery store on Fifth Avenue. The polished floors gleamed under the bright lights, and the air smelled of freshly baked bread, organic produce, and expensive perfumes. This wasn't Marcus's usual grocery stop, but he had just finished a meeting in the nearby office building and decided to swing by to pick up a few things. Marcus was a man who didn't need to fit in. He never had conformed to the societal pressures of what someone should wear or how they should behave. He had reached a place in his life where wealth wasn't something he flaunted. It was simply a part of who he was. His wardrobe was a carefully curated collection of comfort and class. Designer sneakers, a fitted t-shirt with minimalist logo, and a pair of casual but expensive jeans. His watch was a high-end piece, but it wasn't so flashy that it screamed for attention. His demeanor, calm, self-assured, and quiet, was a true reflection of the power he held. As he moved through the aisles, carefully selecting a bottle of organic olive oil, a pack of fresh fruit, and some artisanal bread, he noticed the store wasn't crowded. It was an exclusive spot, catering mostly professionals and those who appreciated finer tastes. He slid his items into his cart, casually glancing around. His reputation preceded him. But in a place like this, everyone was too busy with their own lives to pay much attention to the man with the cool demeanor. Marcus made his way to the checkout counter, where a young cashier stood, scanning items for a customer ahead of him. The cashier, a woman in her 20s with pale blonde hair tied into a tight bun, barely acknowledged Marcus as he arrived at the counter. She didn't smile or greet him as a normal employee would. Instead, she stared at the register with a glazed expression. Marcus paused, waiting for her to take notice, but after a few seconds, he realized she was intentionally ignoring him. He took a breath, letting it out slowly as he placed his items on the counter. "Good afternoon," Marcus said politely, his tone calm, yet tinged with curiosity. "Can you please ring me up?" The cashier looked up at him for the first time, her eyes flicking over his casual outfit with a sharpness that bordered on disdain. Her lips pressed together in a thin line. She didn't say anything but moved slowly, mechanically, to begin scanning his items. Marcus didn't flinch. He was used to people judging him based on his appearance. He could have worn an expensive suit, a tailored jacket, or something more appropriate to fit the image many people had of successful individuals. But today, he didn't feel like doing that. He had nothing to prove. She finished scanning the items in silence, the beeps of the register the only sound between them. "That'll be $72.50, she said curtly, almost as though she was doing him a favor by speaking at all. Marcus nodded and reached into his pocket for his wallet. As he did, he could feel her gaze on him, watching his every move with an almost predatory curiosity. He glanced up and caught her eye. There was something sharp in the way she was looking at him, something uninviting. Without saying a word, Marcus took out his sleek, black credit card and placed it on the counter. He didn't need to say anything else. People often made assumptions about him, thinking he was a millionaire, an heir, or someone whose wealth was inherited. But Marcus had worked hard to get where he was, and the quiet confidence he exuded came from years of building an empire. However, he wasn't interested in impressing anyone at the moment. The cashier's eyes shifted from the card to Marcus, then back to the card, as if she were trying to gauge his worth based on its appearance. There was a flicker of something, disgust, judgment, but it was gone in an instant. She swiped the card with no enthusiasm, then handed it back to him, without even a hint of politeness. The transaction was complete, and Marcus gathered his items, his expression unchanged. "Thank you," he said, his voice measured, but when she didn't respond, he turned and walked out of the store. Marcus was halfway to the door when something unexpected happened. The cashier's voice stopped him dead in his tracks. "I'm afraid I can't serve you," she said, her tone clipped and cold. Marcus stopped, his back still to her. He could feel his pulse quicken. "What did you say?" he asked, his voice surprisingly calm. "I can't serve you," she repeated, her voice gaining a touch of arrogance. "You don't belong here." The word struck Marcus like a physical blow. He turned slowly, staring at her as if trying to comprehend what she had just said. He searched her face, looking for any sign of irony, any hint that this was a joke. But there was nothing. Her eyes were hard and her expression unwavering. "What are you talking about?" Marcus asked, his confusion now turning into frustration. "I've paid. I've done nothing wrong." "I said I can't serve you," she said again, louder this time, her voice tinged with an edge of disdain. "You're not welcome here." Marcus blinked, trying to make sense of it. Was this a prank? Was he being toyed with? He had dealt with all manner of people in his life. Subtle discrimination, veiled insults, microaggressions, but never something so overt. This cashier, this young woman who should have been professional, was actively refusing to serve him without any reason. A moment of pure disbelief passed. Then, a surge of anger rose in him. But it wasn't the anger he felt from his younger years, the kind that would have had him lash out immediately. This was different. This was controlled, calculated. It was the kind of anger that came from years of building something important and never letting anyone take it from you. "I don't think you understand who I am," Marcus said, his voice quiet but full of an undeniable power. The cashier smirked slightly, still not understanding the implications of what she was doing. "You're just another customer. You're not VIP material." Marcus's eyes narrowed. She didn't know who she was talking to, but he wasn't going to let her insult him or anyone else in this way. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek black card, one that wasn't just any membership card. This card, which he had earned after years of dedication and effort, wasn't something you could buy. It was something that represented not only his success, but the influence he had in circles she couldn't even dream of. He placed the card on the counter with a quiet, almost imperceptible thud. The card glistened under fluorescent light, the bold letters VIP embossed in gold. The cashier looked at the card, her confidence faltering. Her eyes moved from the card to his face, and for a fleeting second, she seemed to realize her mistake. She reached for the card, but her hands trembled as she did. I don't recognize your card," she stammered, still unsure how to process the shift in power happening right before her eyes. Marcus watched her. His gaze was calm, but there was a quiet authority in the way he stood. He could see the realization slowly dawning in her face. The moment of understanding flickered before she quickly looked away, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "I'm a member of the store's exclusive VIP program," Marcus said, his voice now even and controlled. "And if you're going to work here, you better understand that people like me don't take kindly being treated like this." She looked around the store nervously. Her colleagues had noticed the tension, but no one came to help. The other customers were watching, silently observing the unfolding drama. The power had shifted. In that moment, Marcus had gone from being the ignored, invisible man in line to the man in control. The manager arrived almost immediately, a middle-aged man with graying hair and a worried look. He had seen everything from a distance, but the situation had escalated quickly. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice full of concern but clearly directed at the cashier. Marcus didn't wait for the cashier to respond. He took the opportunity to speak first, his tone even, though still carrying a hint of power. "I believe your cashier has refused me service because of my appearance. She hasn't made it clear why, but I suspect it has something to do with assumptions. I've already paid, but she still decided I wasn't worth serving." The manager turned to the cashier, his face flushed with embarrassment. "Is this true?" The cashier, now pale, nodded but said nothing. She could feel the eyes of every customer in the store on her, and the weight of their judgment was unbearable. The manager cleared his throat and addressed Marcus directly. "Mr. Johnson, I am terribly sorry for the inconvenience. This is completely unacceptable. I assure you that this issue will be dealt with immediately. Please, allow me to take care of your transaction." Marcus nodded slowly but didn't move. He wasn't here for just an apology. He needed to ensure that this kind of behavior didn't happen again. "Your cashier," Marcus said, his voice now steady and unwavering, "needs to understand that everyone deserves respect in this store. And if she doesn't, it should be reflected in her actions and behavior. This is not how you run a business. You shouldn't allow discrimination to go unchecked." The manager quickly nodded, his eyes now full of concern. "You're absolutely right, Mr. Johnson. I'll make sure she understands. This will be handled. You won't be troubled again." The cashier, humiliated, stood motionless behind the counter, her face flushed with a burning sting of shame. She had overstepped. She had made an assumption that cost her more than just a sale. She had lost the respect of everyone in the store. And in the end, Marcus had taken control of the situation with a quiet, undeniable force. As Marcus walked out of the store, his mind was calm, but the tension that had built inside him slowly began to dissipate. He wasn't one for confrontation, but sometimes standing up for oneself was the only way to make change. The lesson wasn't just about wealth or status. It was about respect. In a world where people often judged others based on appearances, assumptions, and stereotypes, Marcus had shown that the truth could turn the tables. He had refused to be passive. He had taken his power back, not through aggression, but through quiet authority and poise. In the end, the lesson was clear. Respect isn't given, it's earned. But sometimes you have to take it. And when that happens, justice isn't always loud. It's just right. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.